Hey, West Jordan teachers, it's Dan here. Today I'm just going to try and highlight a program that we have, but we may not use much here at West Jordan. And it's a program we should really be using because it's specifically for our multilingual learners. I'm just going to give you a couple intros on how this thing functions. Um, it's really helpful. It's really eye-opening to me as well. Okay, so the first things first, the program is called Ellevation. If you've ever used it, you know what it is. It looks like this. I am mostly not going to show the actual website because one of the reasons I'm not going to is I'm trying to hide the students' names. I'm posting this. So it'll tell us how many how many students in our school are ELs or ELs on my roster or your roster. It will kind of give us some big overviews here. What is our main languages? What are some other languages spoken here as well? And it gives us some information. Now, if you click on students, it will take you to a site that looks a lot like this. I've X'd out the student's name so that I can kind of show you the functionality. Now, over here is where you add your filters. Now, if you add your filters first, I just added my own and I got all of my students. That's why that filter says this right here. And then I really like this composite level because if you can choose just entering, emerging, or developing and expanding, it'll give you some information on your students in where they're at on their WIDA score. And this is specifically WIDA. It also, if you see here, it gives a number that is in between those as well. So maybe they're emerging but almost developing. Maybe they're developing, almost expanding. So this right here gives us a lot of information. Now, one thing that you can do as well is set up groups for your students. I set up 2 groups as entering and emerging and then developing and expanding. So that's 1 and 2s and 3s and 4s. So I kind of split those 2 up. This has the student names here. Again, I've just blacked them out so that we don't have any FERPA violations. But basically, this gives us some really good information about these students. Now, if you click individually on one of the students, it'll bring you up to a site that looks like this. Now, what this does right here is it tells us some very specific things about this student. My favorite thing that it does, more than the test results, is some can-dos. So if the student is a 1 or a 2, it'll talk about entering and emerging, things that they can do. Oftentimes, these students can become unseen because we think they can't do anything and then we don't know how to handle it. This will give you some information on what they can do. Our MLs need you to have this information, and this gives you some information on what you can do. Now, lastly, one of the great things about this website is it doesn't just give you that information. There's also this whole tab called strategies. Now, strategies is as much professional development as you would like. Now, you might want to just start on one of the pathways, just getting to know what multilanguage learners are about. This will give you some information. Ways to support newcomers. Great ways to develop academic language. I think this right here is where most of us are at, and this is very, very helpful. There is also just individual modules that you can take a look at. You can actually earn credit through this as well. There's also just some activities. If you're trying to figure out how to get them to talk with each other, there is some really great activities here. I like the anticipation and reaction guide. I've walked through that. Brainstorm walk is really good. There was a think, pair, write, share somewhere here. A lot of really good ideas on how everyone in every different study group can use these for their learners. This is just a basic intro into what Ellevation is capable of, and hopefully we're all able to use it here at West Jordan to help our multi-language learners.